Thanks all for being here. So, quick question. Is everyone here with a firm or any agencies here?
All firms.
All firms? Okay. Just throw out, what kind of area are you working in at your firm?
We're a geotechnical environmental firm.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Transportation, okay. And you?
Civil, management.
Okay, great. And you?
Civil, surveying,
Okay.
mapping.
What's yours?
Right-of-way consultant.
Okay, cool. All right. Transportation, all right. All impacts in different ways on the public. So Bridget and I met through social media. Met on Twitter and developed a friendships. I've developed friendships all across the country through my social networks. Professionally, we've carried what we've learned in our personal world on social media, and I'm still old school. I consider myself old school. 5 years ago, we communicated in a different way as a communication professional. I work for an engineering company, Parsons Brinckerhoff, as you all know. I'm a communications and PR guy, not an engineer, planner, none of that. But I love transportation. So my focus is transportation. But how we do things now is a lot different. And what we're seeing and what I'm going to talk about here is a big picture first. What's happening in the industries outside of transportation, outside of the AEC industry. And then I'm going to bring it down to some of the things, how we're trying to take some of those, what the private sector is doing, move it into what we're doing. I mean, just look at companies like Google and Apple and IBM and Cisco. I mean, these folks are on the cutting edge of technology. At some point, what they do is going to impact what we all do in this industry. Just imagine if Google decided tomorrow, I'm going to get into the AEC world. I'm going to go after some of these major efforts. I'm going to digitize it. I'm going to do all this stuff. But they're already the king of maps and everything else. I might bring a few engineers on board, a couple of planners maybe. That's scary to me. That's pretty frightening. I was at a Digital Cities conference in UCLA a couple weeks ago. Fascinating topic, and it included someone from the LA Metro, someone from Cisco, and the new Chief Information Technology Officer for the city of LA. And it's mind-boggling what is happening in technology and how it impacts our world and infrastructure. It's mind-boggling. And Cisco was right along that group, right? That's what we do. How soon is it before these worlds all merge? So as I'm involved in the social networks, these are the things that I'm observing and I'm seeing happening out there. Technology is really continuing to move. Now, having said that, I'm still a big believer in old school. You still have to have good content. You still have to have good stories. It's just all melding together a little bit more. So one of the examples I like to use, actually, I just thought of it yesterday. Who remembers this? Men.
Should I be both?
Who uses this right now? You do?
Mm-hmm.
I do too. This is old school, man. And it's still the best way to do it, I think. You can do the old lather and stuff, but there is nothing like this, man. And I just got connected with this maybe about 3 months ago. And oh my God, it's changed my life, shaving. Just like this, the iPhone has changed my life. But this is old school. You can have all the other fancy razors you want, but man, there's nothing like putting that lather in and just doing the whole face and oh my goodness. So there is something to be said. We can't forget with all this technology that we still have to go down to the basics, which is human contact, good stories, and you have to have a professional on board that can help you do that. So I'm going to be a little awkward. Sorry, Bridget. I'll move through it. Okay. Try to anyway. So the big picture is Public Relations Society of America is essentially ACEC and ASCE for public relations and communication professionals across the country and across the world. This is the world I live in, the Public Relations Society of America. These are the professionals that advise major corporations, that work for corporations, that work for Ford, that work for sometimes engineering firms, that are brought in to help with communications, marketing, public relations. And they did a major survey last year about from their audience. Again, these are the professionals that work in this field. what they're seeing out there, what they expect to be out there. So these are important things to remember for your firm, is that ability to be flexible to reach stakeholders. Now that could be from your own firm, or that could be the projects you work on. Using all the tools available. And more what we call this is integrated communications and marketing. You have to integrate everything. 5 years ago, you could get away with marketing over here, customer service over here, social media here, media relations over here, all doing their own thing. But now with the advent of communications, with the advent of online and digital and mobile and social, those messages have to be consistent. This goes back to what I said a little bit a while ago. One of the keys that the professionals in my industry see is that the ability to write clearly across communication channels is going to be more important, much more important in the future. Good writing, good content, engaging people. How are you doing that? You can't just push out stuff anymore. You can't do that. People expect more from their firms, from their clients. They expect more from government. And content is always going to be king. So no matter how you're talking to people, you have to have good content. So PR agencies are moving from publicizing ideas to creating content. Content to drive those ideas. The field is changing dramatically. Parsons Brinckerhoff is a major PR firm that advises Fortune 500 companies. Social media is an inherently PR-friendly platform, and public relations, digital, social media, stakeholder engagement are growing faster than the regular marketing world. So firms, don't forget that. We've got to pay attention to the private sector outside of those fields that you all mentioned that you're involved in. We've got to pay attention to what's happening out there. An important part of social and digital is that it can be tracked. You can measure, you can have analytics, and I'll talk about some of that specific examples in a little bit. And they're powerful. I mean, they blow your mind. And this is about content. This is about potential to be your own newsroom, really. Is what the digital world has allowed is it allows firms, projects to be their own newsroom. You don't necessarily need the media anymore to be your spokesperson. You have that ability now, and we've done that on projects. So I love this example. It's Hellman's Mayonnaise, for goodness sakes. But what they did is they went to the Food and Wine Festival in Aspen, and they covered it as a newsroom. Essentially, they were covering the newsroom, covering the event as a news organization, putting out good content, good stories, not pushing their agenda. Probably giving some freebies here and there, free samples, Be the fifth one to respond, you'll get a free jar of Hellman's Mayonnaise. I don't know what it is. But go into it with that mindset. It's not about you. It's about the audience and engaging with them. Bridget knows that as well as anybody. It's not about Riggins Construction. It's about that engagement that she's created with all those followers online. Again, word of mouth. Word of mouth back then is the basis for today's social media. But now that word of mouth is what a legend in social media, Brian Solie, says is an audience of audiences. You have an audience of audiences. It's no longer just me and Bridget. Bridget and I just took a photo together a little while ago, and she posted it on her network. So how many people did it go to on your network?
13,000.
About 13,000 people just like that. So 10 years ago it was her. She'd go back and tell. In a Polaroid, yeah.
In a Polaroid, yeah. We go photocopy this.
So the digital landscape, it's changing, and it needs. So we know that. That's where it's headed. So then bring it home to what you're doing. How can you incorporate it into your firm's strategy, into the projects you work on? How can you provide those services to clients when you're doing their projects? Can you? And these are the tools. These are the tools. Obviously, self-serving. These are the things that we do. But these are the tools that you use. You use all these things on projects. You use all these things. Social media does not stand on its own. The public meeting shouldn't stand on its own. All these things should play together. When you do that, you can create an incredible outreach campaign you can impact people positively. This is a little bit dated. These numbers are much higher now. But on projects with your firm, with the things that your firm specializes in, are you paying attention to what's happening online? Are you following those keywords? Are you involved in Twitter personally so you can track keywords that are happening about your industry online? And they're happening. I know because I'm out there and I see major discussions about right-of-way, and I see major discussions about civil engineering, engineering in general, and TOD, and all these other things. There's tremendous volume out there happening. And it's all happening in the minute. So these are the things that are happening in a minute. 2 million search queries in Google in a minute. This one came off, but it's like 4 million YouTube views and 100,000 new tweets, and that's about 200,000 now. Photo uploads. I mean, these are just astronomical numbers. Pinterest is not even in here. Google Plus is now, I think, the third largest social network. There's a variety of others that are involved in there. LinkedIn is incredibly popular amongst professionals, and if you're on LinkedIn, please connect with me, Darrel on LinkedIn. Love to connect. That's become a much better social network than it ever has, right, Bridget? 5 years ago, it was not social at all, but now it's become very social, and amongst professionals especially. If your firm is not on LinkedIn, for God's sakes, take the baby step and move on LinkedIn, okay? If you're not LinkedIn, if you don't have an updated profile, that is an incredible marketing tool. You can track who's looking at your profile. I know what clients are checking my profile. It's a powerful thing to know. We need to know those analytics. Those are measurable. That's what I talk about. So at least do that. Come out of here like, I'm going to get our firm on LinkedIn. We're going to have a presence, or I'm going to make sure I have a photo with my LinkedIn profile. Please have a photo. Those are simple things. I don't have a photo yet. No, I don't. But please, connect.
So you can stalk us.
Internet Minute. So do you know what people are saying about the things you love about triathlons? You can follow it. I mean, unbelievable discussions on that stuff. Lloyd Brown is the ACEC Director of Communications, is a huge advocate of digital and social. You all should know who ACEC is. So, remember the first cell phone? This is actually the guy who created it. My brother had one of those. He works in construction. Maybe that's why I'm in this industry. Big old phone, hello, walking around. And, these things, God, I remember my grandpa having these things. Now I have one, but it works. We don't have one of those anymore. Thank God.
You're in museums.
Yeah, but remember when email was first new and all the companies wanted to ban it? And, oh my Lord, you can't have people talk to each other through electronics, through the computer. Remember what you say, the computer? And microwave. I mean, all these things. Things change. Technology changes, and how do we use it to benefit? And now we have a way for our firms and industries to reach people positive. And people have gone mobile. These numbers are bigger now, but there are more minorities who own smartphones than internet, and they access the internet more on their smartphones than they do any other way. Why? Because it's easy, it's mobile. These things change people's lives because access is easier. And these numbers aren't going to go away. Apple started it all, and now everyone else is following suit. And, I just got my son this cheap little Google Chromebook. Anyone know what those are?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a PC that's Google Chrome, and you just surf. And it's simple. Man, 5 years ago, that wasn't here. 5 years ago, I could actually take a vacation as a communications guy. Now I can't. It kind of sucks. But we're 24/7, and people are 24/7, and you're impacting them on a project. They want you to be 24/7. Clients expect you to be 24/7. If not now, they will be. Yeah.
Of these different social mediums, which one do you use the most?
The social media network.
Yeah.
I love Twitter.
All right, so I have a question about that. I have a Twitter account and I repost everything that my corporation tweets out.
That's your first mistake. Serious, it's your first mistake.
Okay, so I'd like to hear more about that, but my issue with Twitter
Make it your
has
own.
just been my, own, obstacle to using it. Is I really don't understand how to use it. Like you say, you develop a friendship with Twitter. I mean, you post like 3 words, that's it. And I post something of my own original thought. Nobody comments, or at least I don't know if they're commenting. There's nothing that tells me that they're commenting, or the way it's formatted.
We're gonna have questions.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit,
Okay.
but
Hold on to that thought.
yeah, hold on to that
Okay,
thought.
all right.
It's baby
Yeah.
steps, though.
Bridget will teach you.
It's baby
She is
steps,
the master.
and I mean, it really is big. When Bridget and I
have
started,
the same question.
it was baby steps.
I have
It's a good
Twitter
question.
account.
It's a
People want to follow me. I don't even know what to do. I mean,
It's baby steps. I mean, because if Bridget and I, when we learned Twitter and Facebook and other things, 2009, 2008, whatever it was, if we stuck with what we knew then, now, we would be irrelevant. So
It's organic, it changes.
it changes constantly. So you've got to take your own time, make it what you want it to be. Some of my staff across the country are involved in social networks, some are not. But they all make it their own. Some are sports focused. I'm transportation, communications, PR, and social media. I love that.
I mean, my whole presentation is on
Is that
developing
that?
relationships.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Just hold on to that thought.
You'll get a lot of stuff.
And if we didn't answer it, we will.
Yeah. So, the world I live in is really transportation, social media. So, there's a lot of volume out there. And what I love to do is when I get involved in a project, first off, I go on Facebook and Twitter, and everyone does Google, and I search, just do some keywords on the project, and see what kind of discussions are happening. And if you are all project managers, it would scare you. And I've scared many project managers by showing them the volume of conversation going on about their project before they even started. So you have to own that message, and you have to be aware of what's out there. You may choose not to get involved, and that's at your own risk. That should be put in your risk management plan. Because if you don't get involved and there's an online discussion already in your project, you don't get involved in it, or the client doesn't, that's a risk. It's a high risk. You mark that as red, you make sure they're aware of it, and then you move on. But every federal agency is on Twitter or YouTube. Who would have thought that 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, social media began at the grassroots level. Then when President Obama took over, came into the federal level, Ray LaHood was one of the most ambitious social media proponents of any government official who's now gone. Secretary Fox is now doing it. But feds have come along board. They still got a little bit of way to go to engage people and make them feel like they're heard. But these are two projects in California. I'm not picking on them, but Riverside County. One's official and one's a renegade. And that's the challenge. So if there's a renegade, we better be better than that. On LA Express lanes for Metro LA, I do social media for that project. There's at one point there was 3 Facebook pages that were created, opposition pages. But one of our goals early on was to own the message and to own our pages. So they've kind of went away. But that's always a challenge. But if you're not there, that will come. They'll be the dictator of the message, not the agency. So the landscape is changing. Clients are becoming more sophisticated, expecting a little bit more. If you read one blog post for AEC transportation, read the source for LA Metro. It's tremendous. It's a tremendous example of how to do a blog post really good. It's not all about pushing, this message or this marketing stuff that no one's going to pay attention to it. They tackle things somewhat objectively, maybe ranking some feathers, but they do a really good job on trying to be an honest broker of good information.
Source.
The source, yeah. LA Metro's blog. So what I focus on is transportation communications and reaching audiences where they were in These are projects across the country. We've implemented digital social media for approximately 12 projects across the country, from complete streets in Detroit to express lanes in LA, to a study of a corridor in Texas, or an MPO in Texas, bridge widening project in New Orleans that finished up last year. This ended up with almost 10,000 followers on social media. It's a rail project in Connecticut. It's express lanes, interstate widenings, 96 fix. That was just this weekend. I'm still working on that. It's pretty intense. What we've done with these is we've reached new audiences. These are folks that would never necessarily go to your public meeting, but they'll follow you on social networks, and we've learned a whole bunch of different stuff, analytics-wise. This has been the most interesting project to date. We started that for Michigan DOT 2 years ago in design. No one goes to design meetings, so we encourage them to let us establish a foundation of communications with the public and open up a Facebook and Twitter page during design, which it doesn't happen very often. Because we knew when they got to the 96 fix, which is the closure of the I-96 in Metro Detroit, closure of 140,000 vehicles a day for 7 months, they were going to need all the help they could get. So we closed that interstate on Saturday, this past week. We went into that project with 3,600 followers on Facebook and 1,000 on Twitter. We were reaching, in the last week, we reached about 100,000 people. You can't do that in Minnesota. You could spend $1 million in advertising, right, Bridget? You'd never reach that many people. And they went into that project with that kind of engagement. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Well, people buy machines to skip TV ads.
That's right. They do.
That's our world.
So there's a way to reach folks, and these are just numbers. Everyone wants to see numbers. Express lanes. This was early on in the project, probably around that. One of the things we did unique with this project is we posted in Spanish as well, and we engaged in Spanish. Very successful. When it started, it was more about public information, and now that the lanes are in place, it's more about customer service, helping people through it, funneling their complaints, getting to customer service, being that help on that. This is the 96 project I mentioned. You know, that's a tremendous number when you can reach that many people on an interstate closure for 7 months. And I have to say that probably in the last week I've responded to 1,500 comments on Facebook. And even if they're angry, they should be angry. They're closing the interstate. But it was interesting to see that no one really said, we never knew about this. Because everyone else on that social network said, well, you haven't been paying attention. Where were you? They've been talking to us for years, literally years. So the power of going, how could we have done that 10 years ago or 5 years ago? We couldn't have. But these tools allow you to build up an audience before you really impact it. And good communication is about no surprises. Just warn people, you know? And Sunday we started, so we closed the interstate. It's also demolition of a whole bunch of bridges, 37 bridges. I think half of them are going to be demolished. So over the first 24-hour period, we were demolishing bridges. People were complaining about the noise. They were a little mad about it. But we're like, well, you kind of knew we're going to work 24/7. And everyone else was like, this is great. Look at the progress. It's also progress. It's been a fascinating ride with that. Woodward Complete Streets is in Detroit. Again, those are strong numbers. The rail program in Connecticut. But it's not about the numbers. It's about the engagement you have with those people. And you know, it doesn't matter if your project has 20 followers or 2,000 followers. How are you engaging with those individuals? Acknowledging them when they respond to you, and when they give you a shout out, saying thanks, acknowledging them. Just like you're walking down the street, someone says hi, you're not just gonna, well, you may. You just walk your head down and say hi back. So if someone acknowledges you on social media, you gotta acknowledge them back. If they have something angry to say, then acknowledge it. Don't necessarily agree with it. Find out what's at the core of it. It always ends up, usually being positive. So there's a lot of things that we've learned over the last 4 years when we launched our first social network. It was in 2008 for a project in Louisiana called the Go Wider Interstate Widening Program. And we learned every day. But Ashton, the people who follow Ashton Kutcher and Lady Gaga will not follow your transportation project. So you go into it and they're like, we want the young people to pay attention. Well, they're not going to. They don't care. Because they don't care if there's a detour. Some of them may, but they're not going to be fully engaged in your project. That's not your audience. And the best example of that is in Michigan, in the Ann Arbor Bridges project, the home of the University of Michigan. Football stadium, the largest football stadium in America. We closed down the 2 bridges to the main road for that stadium over a year period, and we impacted some games. So we went into that. It was a City of Ann Arbor project. We expected, and I even expected, we'd get a good amount of students. Young people, right? Let's get the young people. They don't care. They didn't care. It was actually just the opposite. 80% were 35 and older that followed our social media networks. The kids followed the detours. On bikes, they followed the detours. They didn't follow us on Facebook and Twitter. They're not going to follow some stupid project. Why would they do that? So it's just not going to happen typically for a transportation project. We don't have anything to offer them very much. Women dominate social media. Bridget has shared this often and regularly from our last talk, but it's still true today. Even on the 96 fix that I just talked about, over 60% are women. And if you talk to marketers, they would die for those numbers. 35 and older is 60% of the projects we follow. Transportation anywhere, any project we start social media on, I can almost guarantee it'll be probably around 60% that'll be 35 and older. And then another over 60% is going to be women. Those are powerful numbers. They are the influencers on these social networks. There are more older 45 and older people opening Facebook and Twitter accounts than there are younger. So don't always shoot for the young audience. Shoot for the relevant audience. And what we found is that women and 35 and older are the ones that follow transportation. And when you get women followers, they're the influencers on social media. Those are all the studies, all the things that you see. They influence others. They're the mom bloggers. And whenever I start a project, they're the ones I go after. Where are they? How can we help? How can we give them good information to share with their networks? It's really important. And by far, we get more views on our social media pages compared to our project website. But they work together. They're not standalone. When you have a good website, you have good content to share on social media, and it all works together. This is the most important thing that we do. Whether you do your own network, your own Twitter, your own LinkedIn, your own project efforts, it's the 25-75 rule. 25% is about your project or you, 75% is about everybody else. So when Bridget and I come to speak here, we're not saying, hey, come watch how great I'm going to be at ACEC. Come watch Bridget and I at ACEC. Pump each other up. Ted Nguyen for the Orange County Transportation Authority is really a legend in social networking. He has like 300 or 400,000 followers on Twitter right now. Just tremendous influence to many of us who started in this field. And he is the greatest sharer of people and resources and other people's good news that ever lived. He completely gets it. He's someone I learned from. Be nice and share. So it's not about you. Ted doesn't just pump himself up. He shares stuff he does, but he shares everyone else's great news. 25% is about you or your project, 75% is about the community or everything else. Things that you're reading, share those in case this is a cool story, check it out. You may not get retweeted, but engage, share, be nice, and always respond, even in disagreement. Some other things, online conversations, and we talked about this earlier, online conversations are taking place. You've got to pay attention. If you don't now, it's okay. But 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the landscape's going to change. You have to own your social sites, especially for your projects, where there's controversy, where you're closing lanes, where you're impacting people, taking properties. You've got to be prepared for crisis communication. You've got to have professionals on board who know how to communicate, who know how to tell a story, who know how to communicate messages. I'm not saying engineers and planners can't do it. They're not trained in it. I'm not trained in how to design a bridge. A to B. There you go. Environmental justice, cultural, who cares? So get the professionals on board. Must be a part of a transparent communication philosophy. And I've had clients who wanted to, let's do a Twitter page, let's do a Facebook page. Well, how are you communicating right now with the public? Are you engaging with them? Are you responding quickly? If not, then social media is not the right thing for you. If it takes you 2 weeks to respond to the public, please don't go on social media because you will be destroyed. If the 96 Fix project, imagine, okay, if we had a Facebook page and a Twitter page for the 96 Fix closure that I talked about, impacting 140,000 vehicles over 7 months, residents who are hearing noises, and we didn't respond to it. Can you imagine? You've lost control of your message and you don't respond to people. We respond to people like that 24/7 because you have to. Because they'll talk about it. They'll go to their legislator, they'll go to their city councilman, they'll go to the president, the governor. When I was in Delaware, they'd go right to the governor. So when you have social networks, it keeps it here, right? And they're not organized. They're just venting. So you can respond to them individually. You don't have organized opposition. When you avoid organized opposition on a project, you're going a long way. So keep that in mind. Yeah, you're going to get negative comments. Of course you're going to get negative comments. But respond to them. Let them know that they're heard. For God's sake, that's all we want, right? When we have an issue with a product and we call a company, we just want them to acknowledge our pain. Acknowledge their pain, then vent, move on. Sometimes you have to be direct. And when done right, on all the projects we've worked on, where we've done PR and we've done social media is the best way to engage the largest group of audience. Now this is a study we did, me and my staff did last year. And it actually would be a good thing for you all to check out as well. It's potential use of social media in the NEPA process. But essentially, it's about how to do social media the right way for a project. Now, this just happens to be focused on NEPA, and it's a study we did for NCHRP. So it's, if you Google social media NEPA, you'll come to a website, it'll have a matrix of a whole bunch of tools you can use. But it'll also have this report. There's a lot of really good guidance in there on steps you can take to launch your own social media. And even if it's not project related, just looking at it for knowledge for yourself, check it out. It'd be worthwhile. We put a lot of effort into it, and we're pretty proud of it. But it's interesting, this kind of a study, we did it in September. It'll be irrelevant in a year from now because the tools change. All the tools are changing and how they're happening change. But the bottom line in that report is engaging with people is never a bad thing. So it doesn't matter what tool you use, engage with people. These are some comments we've gotten over the years on our social networks, and some good things, not so good things. Absolutely ludicrous. I'm so mad. End this project now. But you're sharing good information. I appreciate you taking the time to reply. This is a first for a government Twitter account for me to reply to. Jeez, oh man, why can't we talk to people? Even if we're government. And this other person, I'm lost without you guys. Follow traffic impacts. So the next few slides are basically tips. Be visual. Personal, firm account, whatever it is, be visual. Share good photos. You got people working in the fields, doing cool stuff. Share some good pictures, man. Get the real people out there. On the Go Wider program in Baton Rouge, that was our claim to fame. We had a photographer that would go out every month and take these great photos of neighbors and family members working. Right? That's them. We know that guy. Who doesn't know that guy? Share those pictures because it makes that project a lot more human to the folks that are impacted by it. And it's a lot harder to hate the project or hate the client when you know it's him that's working on it, right? When you put a face to someone, it's a lot harder.
What platform is that to the lower left and upper right?
This is Facebook. This was a simple thing I did for express lanes. You know, some of this stuff isn't rocket science, man. And it's like so simple that I hate to even tell people, but I just had this old stopwatch, and here's our transponder. I had this old stopwatch, and we were about to, you know, open up I think it was the 10 express lane. And I had, my caption was, you know, time's ticking. It's gonna open tomorrow. But that got shared quite a bit. Just a simple visual, right? You know, it's not hard, just be creative. This was someone posted this on Instagram for express lanes, and she says here it's part of her fashion wardrobe. Coffee, whatever this thing is, sunglasses, transponder, fast track. I shared that on all the other networks since I got that. It was hugely popular, just simple stuff. This is the clearance on our Ann Arbor Bridges project. The bridge that we tore down. One of the graphic artists in the town superimposed this picture of Clarence on the bridge, and it was kind of like, oh, Clarence is, you know, he's cowering, he's going to be going. So it became a running thing through the project, and we played along with it really well. And so after the bridge is torn down, there's a pile of dirt. He kind of superimposed Clarence in the dirt bed. He's like, he's arrived, he's been unearthed. Shared that, and so at the end of the project, he showed up at the opening ceremonies and superimposed with the other dignitaries. You can have a lot of fun with your audience when you give them a chance to be creative. So visual. Just think of visual things. Be honest and accurate with the public and be relevant. We want them to buy express lanes, so I just did this simple picture and it said, "Hi, buy me." I still use that. It just goes all over. It's not hard to do stuff like that. It's market. I'm not a marketer, but I think that's decent marketing. And you know, got a public meeting. Be a little creative. Post that as a photo or make it your profile page on Twitter and Facebook for a couple weeks. A little postcard, Woodward Avenue. Hi, it's Woodward Avenue, Fleet Street. We're building places, not lanes. Join us. Simple stuff, right? But be relevant, be honest, be accurate, and be nice. This scares people sometimes when I post it. That's my favorite thing to post. But just, you know, be nice. Have fun with the networks. You have to develop a personality with your own network and your project network. If you go on LinkedIn and Twitter, figure out what you want to learn about. Who do you want to follow? Do you want it to be political? Do you want it to be about your extracurricular activities? Do you want it to be about engineering? You can find that niche, but you have to go into it understanding what that niche is, no matter what it is, and especially if it's a project. Who are those stakeholders you're trying to reach? And who are they out there? Because you may go into, like the Ann Arbor Bridges project, think you're going to reach students. They're not there. So who is it? It's businesses, professors, adults. And I think that's it. So connect with me on LinkedIn. Love to connect. And any questions after Bridges done, I'd be glad to answer.